Buddy Club, and today we're going to tell you about our Tom's JZX100 Toyota Chaser JTCC race car. The number 38 is one of just 5 built by Tom's for Toyota's JTCC effort, specifically designed for the series, and it also borrowed tech heavily from the JGTC programs, including the 2.0-liter 310 horsepower naturally aspirated 4 cylinders. These raced under the banners of Zent, Toyota Team Tom's, and Tsuchiya Garage. The Gran Turismo faithful among you are probably familiar with JGTC, which we did race in with the number 91 GT300 class SW20 MR2, which appeared in Gran Turismo 2. By contrast, JTCC, the Japanese Touring Car Championship, is almost unknown. The series ran from 1989 through 98 and saw many of the most iconic cars of Japanese racing cross its checkered flags. It started life as the number 38 Denso Tsurumo 1996 Tom's Super Touring Toyota Chaser. This car was driven by Buddy Club president Jun-san Chen, and it was also campaigned in the SEA TCZC race series during the 99 season. And this car is a permanent reminder of our racing heritage as well as Toyota Tom's. With its bulging fenders, low stance, massive wheels, and trunk-mounted carbon wing, one might be forgiven for mistaking it for a drift car. But a closer look reveals that this is something entirely different. While it did start life as a JZX100 Chaser and still looks mostly like one, it's a totally different animal under the skin. Now that we've looked into the appearance, let's get into the details. In factory form, the Chaser came with a 1JZ turbo inline-6, but with the GT300 engine package, 2 cylinders went the way of the dinosaur, and a TRD massaged 3SGE inline-4 took its place. This hand-built 3SGE variant motor was good for 310 naturally aspirated horsepower, and while the bones were 3S, the 503E featured a dry sump oil system, and Yamaha even lent a hand to the build with custom headwork, and they also did the trick ball valve throttle body setup that's hidden within the carbon fiber intake manifold housing. The engine in the number 38/number 16 wears a hand stamp plate that simply reads 3S002. 310 horses was a lot of power for an NA inline 4 back in those days. And those 310 ponies were sent to the rear wheels via a Hollinger 6-speed full sequential transmission, featuring a carbon clutch system and, of course, a limited slip differential. Suspension geometry was significantly different than that of the street car, with very little in common with a stock Chaser, as the front control arms have been replaced with bespoke Tom's arms, and the suspension was replaced with a set of P1 Racing coilovers front and rear. Inside, we've upgraded the car with one of our P1 limited edition racing spec bucket seats, with a pair of matching Buddy Club racing harnesses. Providing the power, we have one of our Mega Life lithium batteries, replacing the original Buddy Club battery from the 90s, and that upgrade still took several pounds out of the car, even going from one lightweight battery to another. While it's missing from the car today, the ECU managing this beastly 4-banger was a Motec standalone ECU, and also had a data acquisition suite, and of course, the Motec cluster to round out the package, all of which are, unfortunately, lost to time. However, the harnesses and wiring are still present, meaning they can be replaced. Being a 90s race car, this thing is full of OG go-fast tricks, and a few things that racers today are baffled by, such as those 2 funny levers in the cabin to the left of the center console. Several current race drivers have seen the interior, and only a couple have correctly guessed what the levers are for. Those are for the cabin adjustable sway bars and let the driver tweak understeer and oversteer behavior on the fly. The chassis itself also had significant changes. In addition to losing the 2 cylinders, the engine and transmission were shifted to a front mid-engine layout, like the Z33 350Z for example, and the chassis was seam welded, as well as a roll cage with more points than we can count to boot. Then, to bring the weight down further, interior panels were replaced with carbon fiber throughout the entire cockpit, and the heavy glass has been replaced by plexi. While the 5 different JZX100 Chasers all ran on different wheels, the number 38 Tsurumo Chaser we have sits on a set of Champion White Gloss OZ Superleggera one-lug competition wheels, which are more like 21-inch rather than the claimed 19. The tires are as unique as the wheels. Michelin Virage slick race tires are wrapped snugly around the Italian rolling stock. Air jacks also make quick work of wheel and tire changes in the pits, and they still work today, and rather violently at that. While many wide-body race cars feature composite or carbon fenders, that's not the case here. One of the hallmarks of old-school touring cars like this is the wide body it received. The bulging fenders are steel like the stock front fenders. And the same goes for the rear wheel arches to allow the car to swallow the massive one-lug OZs. The front bumper fascia was also widened to match and features large gaping intakes to feed the brake cooler lines, as well as provide airflow to the suite of Nippon Denso cooling equipment. It looks timeless, but it's still tasteful and aggressive in 2022, 25 plus years after it was built. Alright, let's get into the car's racing history. The 97 season for the 38 car was a middle-of-the-pack year for Team Toyota Toms, and Masanori Sakia took the team's best finish for the series in 13th. Things flipped in 98 as the JZX100 dominated the JTCC season, which unfortunately would be the last of the series. Masanori Sakia took the championship in the black number 36 car for Toyota Team Toms, but the 98 season was a nearly all-Toyota event, with one lone Subaru breaking up the pack. Whereas the 97 season boasted 25 competitors and was now down to just 12, leading to Toyota Toms selling 3 of the 4 cars to Team Pro Pilot/AAI. 1999 brought the car to the Southeast Asia Touring Car Zone Challenge, SEATCZC. At some point, the number 38 was removed and the car became number 16, and with that, sections of the vinyl graphics were removed as the livery was changed out for the red and white seen today. Several of the cars from JTCC moved on to SEATCZC, which later became the ATCC. This car raced under the Pro Pilot Team AAI banner, along with the number 36, driven by Shiwei Shi, and the second number 36 car was driven by Masanori Sakia, and this car, called number 16 now, was driven by Buddy Club president Jun San-chen. Which brings us to where the car's racing history ends. This was the last time the Chaser would see the track in competition, and one of the last times the car was started. SEATCZC ceased to be at the end of the season, as in 2000 they became ATCC, the Asian Touring Car Championship, where we marked the start of our better-known Buddy Club race cars' careers. With the end of its racing career, the ECU was removed, but no one is quite sure who removed it, why, or where it went, leaving the car complete with the sole exception of its ECU. That makes this the most intact JTCC or JGTC car in the United States that we're aware of. Others have cars with no engines, others have engines but no car. But here, we have the more or less complete package. Coming to America. A few more outings were made before the car somehow made its way to America. No one's exactly sure how it happened, but sometime between 01 and 04, the car came to the States to Buddy Club. And while the feds are out to get anything and everything JDM gray market, as an FIA homologated race car, this was never in any danger of being seized by the feds. As a literal race car, it's completely legal. Actual race cars, like the R34 race cars seen with our Buddy Club cars at Media Day back in 06, they're 100% legal to possess and own in the USA, while regular R34 Skylines are still very illegal in 2022. Sometime between 2000 and 05, the competition rear wing was stolen off the car. At that point, our friends at APR Performance gifted it a new rear wing because it didn't look right without it. Since around 2010, it's been quiet. Just sitting there quietly in the shadows, waiting for its chance to see sunlight again. Eventually, the Michelin Virage race slicks gave up the ghost to dry California air, and it was put on casters. Daydreaming around the office inevitably leads one to imagine what that TRD motor sounded like in person, and how it could possibly run again. But maybe that's not such a wild idea after all. And that brings us to the present day, 2022. As we mentioned, the car is intact but needs a computer to run the motor. But even with a new ECU and fresh competition tires, there are still the litany of stored car issues to address. Rotted rubber lines, clogged fuel injectors, or a fuel pump, etc. So, of the 5 JZX100 JTCC cars, where are they in 2022? Well, the number 38 car is here in Ontario, California. The black number 36 car is with AAI in Taiwan. The black number 37 car is at the Toyota Historical Garage in Japan. And the Tsuchiya red and black number 25 is in Honda's collection. To our knowledge, there are no other JTCC cars stateside. And that's where we are today. Should fate be willing, you might see it out at an event near you in the near future. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this little write-up. Thanks for joining us for this short little history lesson. Thanks for joining us for this little motorsport history lesson.